students. We are going to continue with Act 1, Scene 3, Merchant of Venice. Okay, so in the last class we had seen that there was a conversation going on between Bassanio, Antonio and Shylock, alright. And then we see that Shylock says that he is willing to give 3,000 ducats to Antonio. But then I told you in the last class to keep in mind that he says that he tells them to go to a notary, alright, and sign a bond, alright, and he says that this bond is not going to be a serious one, rather it will be signed as a like in a merry sport, alright, jokingly. They are going to sign a bond where it will be written that if Antonio fails to pay 3,000 ducats within 3 months, then Antonio will have to give a pound of flesh, or rather Shylock will cut a pound of flesh from any part of Antonio's body. And you have to remember this, that he says that this is to be done in a merry sport, that is jokingly, since now they have become friends. Now at this, Antonio is very happy, and Antonio feels that since Shylock says that I am not going to take a penny extra from you, I am not going to charge a single rate of interest on 3,000 ducats, rather let us sign a bond, alright. So Antonio feels that Shylock has become very kind, and the Jews, they are showing kindness, whereas Bassanio can smell something fishy, and Bassanio says that you are not going to sign this bond for me. At this, Antonio says, alright, in reply, what does Antonio say? Why? Fear not, mean I will not forfeit it. Again, we see the confidence of Antonio, rather we may term it as an overconfidence of Antonio. Antonio says, don't worry Bassanio. Why? Fear not, mean I will not forfeit it. Forfeit it means I will not have to pay the penalty. Okay, within these 2 months, that's a month before this bond expires, I do expect return of thrice 3 times the value of this bond. So Antonio says, don't be scared, don't be afraid, because I will not forfeit it, means I will not have to pay the penalty, because within these 2 months only, the time limit is 3 months. Okay, so Antonio says that within these 2 months only, I am sure that all my ships are going to come back safely. So before the bond expires, my ship is going to come back safely, and I will be able to return that 3,000 ducats to I'll be able to return back those 3,000 ducats to Shylock before time. Okay, so I do expect return of thrice 3 times the value of this bond. Thrice 3 times means 9 times the value of the bond. So he says, don't worry, I will be able to pay back 9 times the value of the bond, because all my ships will be returning back within 2 months, and then before the bond expires, and everything will be fine. So here we see the overconfidence of Antonio, how he is very confident, and how he says that he will be able to return back that 3,000 ducats before time. At this, what does Shylock say? Shylock says, "O Father Abraham, what these Christians are, whose own heart dealings teaches them suspect the thoughts of others." So Shylock says, he says that look at these Christians, they are doubting my intentions, right? They are doubting that I am going to do something wrong to them. Why they are doubting my intentions is because their intentions are only troublesome. Their own intentions are not clear, and their own intentions are tough. That is why they are doubting my intentions. Okay, all right. So whose own hard dealings refers to tough dealings, or their sharp dealings. Whose own hard dealings teaches them suspect the thoughts of others. Pray you tell me this. if he should break his day. If he should break his day means if he should break the bond. So Shylock tries to clarify, alright, and Shylock tries to say that why are you doubting my intentions, alright, because I will never be benefited by taking a pound of flesh from a man's body. So why are you doubting my intentions? What will happen if Antonio is not able to pay that 3,000 ducats within 3 months? He says that if he should break the day, what should I gain? So he says even if the bond expires, or even if he breaks the bond, if he is not able to pay that 3,000 ducats within time, within 3 months, then what is going to happen? He says, what should I gain by exaction of the forfeiture? So he says that what should I gain by the exaction of the forfeiture means what should I get by taking the penalty? Alright, what should I get by taking the penalty? Because in the bond it is mentioned that if he fails to pay 3,000 ducats within 3 months, then a pound of flesh will be taken from Antonio's body. So what will he get by taking a pound of a man's flesh? Okay, a pound of man's flesh taken from a man is not so estimable. Estimable means valuable. So a pound of flesh, if you are taking from a man's body, what good it is? It is not valuable. Profitable neither. So it is neither very profitable, neither can I sell it. It's not like the flesh of a mutton, or it's not the flesh of beef or goat. So it is not even profitable. I won't be able to earn profit also. As flesh of muttons, beefs or goats, I say to buy his favor, I extend this friendship. So he tries to be very practical and tries to show that he is very, very kind. Okay, and he says that I am saying all these things just because I want to become friends with you, isn't it? I said that I won't be charging a single penny more from you. I will just take my 3,000 ducats, the principal amount. I will not charge a single interest more on the principal amount. But what I want is, so that we, as a mark of our friendship, I wanted you to sign a bond which is so funny, where it is written that if the bond is not fulfilled, that is, if the bond expires, or if Antonio is unable to pay that 3,000 ducats within 3 months, then I will take a pound of flesh from him. But then this is not a very, what will I do with a pound of a man's flesh? Okay, so he says that I am saying all this to extend this friendship. If he will take it, so; if not, adieu. So he says, if you want to sign this, if you will accept this, it's fine. If you don't want to accept it, goodbye. And for my love, I pray you wrong me not. So, and for my love, but do not wrong me. I am saying all this as a mark of our friendship, for offering an act of love. So you know that he covers the real intention, what is actually going on in the mind of Shylock. He has some cruel intention in his mind, which he is covering up with his sweet words. All right, so what is that evil intention? We will come to know later in the play. At this, Antonio says, yes, Shylock, I will seal unto this bond. So Antonio says, okay, fine, Shylock, I am happy with what you have said. I am going to sign the bond. So here Antonio, we can project Antonio as a very innocent character, because he cannot see through the evil intentions of Shylock. He doesn't know what is actually going on in the mind of Shylock. At this, Shylock says, then meet me forthwith at the notary's, give him direction for this merry bond. So Shylock says, okay, if you are fine with the bond, then meet me forthwith in the notary, meet me at the lawyer's place, at the court, and there we are going to sign a merry bond. And you have to remember this. What is this merry bond is very, very important. This scene is important because we are told about the bond, the bond which Antonio and Shylock is going to sign. And this bond, this agreement plays each and every word of this bond is very, very important. You have to remember this throughout the play. Now, then meet me forthwith at the notary, give him direction, all right, for this merry bond. So go to the notary and ask the person there, or the lawyer, give him instructions about this humorous bond, and I will go and purse the ducats straight. So he says, and in the meantime, when you go to the notary and prepare everything, I'll go home and I will put money in my purse. He's referring to the money, 3,000 ducats, which he is ready to give Antonio. And I will go and purse means put in the purse the ducats straight, means at once. See to my house, left in the fearful guard of an unthrifty knave. Now, who is this unthrifty knave? Refers to an unreliable fellow. So Shylock says, I have to go home fast because I have left my house in the hands of a unsafe guard. And who is this unsafe guard? Mostly it is a servant. Most probably he's talking about Launcelot Gobbo. Now, of an unthrifty knave, and presently I will be with you. So he says, I'll go home, I will check if my home is okay, if everything, my money and everything is fine, and then I'll come back and I'll meet you. Exit Shylock. So saying this, Shylock leaves the stage and he goes. So on the stage now we have Antonio and Bassanio. There's a dialogue. Antonio says, Heidi, go, kind Jew, gentle Jew. The Hebrew will turn Christian. So Antonio feels that Shylock is really very, he is really very kind, because he is telling that he is not going to charge a single penny more for the 3,000 ducats which he is taking from Shylock. All right. So the Hebrew will turn Christian. So he says, I think this Jew is going to become a Christian because he is, he's so kind like a Christian. He grows kind. At this, Bassanio says, I like not fair terms and a villain's mind. So he says, I do not like the fair terms, means good words, all right, the kind terms, and a villain's mind, with the mind of a villain. So every time we see that Bassanio can smell something fishy, he can understand that something is going on in the mind of Shylock, because of which he is, he is trying to be so kind and gentle to them. So that is not being smelled by Antonio. Okay. Now Antonio says, come on, in this there can be no dismay. So Antonio says, okay, fine, Bassanio, don't trouble yourself so much. In this there can be no dismay. There is no reason to be scared. I'm sure that Shylock is not planning anything. My ships come home a month before the day. Very confident, Antonio says, don't worry, Bassanio, my ship will be coming back home very soon. So you need not worry, because before the bond expires, I will be able to pay back 3,000 ducats to Shylock. So as I told you, this is very important. The ducats, for 3,000 ducats, to be given for 3 months, and Antonio is the surety, all right, the witness is Antonio, all right, and then one more important thing, if the bond expires or if he is not able to pay back that 3,000 ducats, then a pound of flesh will be taken from Antonio's body. So this you have to remember. This is what is mentioned in the bond. Now again, the scene, it shifts to Belmont. With this, we finish off with Act 2. We finish off with Act 1, Scene 3. We are going to start with Act 2. All right. Now, Act 2, again, it is set in Belmont. And if you remember what was happening in Belmont, Portia, she was there. All right, she was a very beautiful lady, and suitors from all over the world, they were coming in order to marry her. All right, and we had seen in the last class, in the last scene, that which had taken place in Belmont, that she did not like any of the suitors who had come to marry her. All right, and now before the scene closed, if you remember, she was talking about the arrival of the next suitor, that is the Prince of Morocco. All right, so this scene here, it is set in Belmont and it is taking place in a hall in Portia's house. Okay, this scene is very, very important because we are told everything about the casket in this scene. Casket plays a very important role in this scene because if it is said that Portia has no choice as far as her marriage is concerned, and whoever chooses the right casket from among the gold, silver and lead will be able to marry Portia. So we are given the detail of about the casket. All right, and it also, this scene also talks about racial prejudice. Okay, because the suitor who is coming now is a Prince of Morocco. All right, he's coming from a very hot country, hot place. All right, that is why his skin color is black. And then we see that Portia, in the earlier scene only, we had seen that Portia says that I wish that he would rather shrive me than wife me. Okay, which means that I would make him a religious preacher rather than making him my husband. So racial prejudice is also shown here, and this scene, it opens with a great pomp and show because a Prince of Morocco, dark complexioned, he enters the scene, and then he enters the stage and he is very, very confident about himself. Though he is dark complexioned, he is very, very confident, and he says that he is the right person to marry Portia. Okay, so as I told you, Act 2 Scene 1 is important because this entire act is important because we are told about the casket. The detail of the casket is given in this scene, and we are also told about the racial discrimination which was prevalent in the society during that time also. Dark complexion, how these dark complexioned were not liked by the fair skin. So in one corner of our heart we see that Portia wishes that this Prince of Morocco does not make the right choice because she does not like the dark complexion of this prince. Okay, so let us start with this Act 2 Scene 1, which takes place in Belmont. It's a hall in Portia's house. Flourish of cornets, so trumpets, sound of trumpets. It opens with a great pomp and show. The Prince of Morocco is entering. Enter the Prince of Morocco and his train. So his followers are entering. Portia, Nerissa and others attending. So they all are after the Prince of Morocco. Now the first the first speech is given by Morocco, the Prince of Morocco, who has come. You have to imagine that the Prince of Morocco is coming from a very hot country. That is why his skin is very, very black. He is dark complexion, but then he is very, very confident about himself. All right, he says that he is brave, he is courageous, and he is a perfect match for Portia. Morocco says, mislike me, not for my complexion. So Morocco says, mislike me, do not dislike me for my complexion. Don't go by my complexion. I know I am dark complexioned. The shadowed livery refers to the dark uniform. All right, the shadowed livery of the burnished sun. Burnished is bright and burning. So this covering, this uniform, all right, he's referring to his skin. This uniform which I have got is from the bright burning sun. He comes from Morocco, which is a hot country and which is very close to the equator, near the equator. So the shadowed livery of the burnished sun. So this, my skin color is the uniform because of the heat of the sun. to whom I am a neighbor near bread. So we are neighbors to the sun because the country is very near the equator. So we are the neighbors of the sun. Bring me the fairest creature northward born. So he says, though I know that I am dark complexion, so you can bring someone from the north, northern side, which is far from the sun, and because of which the people who are coming from the northern side, they are fair complexion. Their skin is somewhat pale, white. Okay, so he says, bring me the fairest creature northward born, where Phoebus is the classical sun god, where Phoebus' fire scarce thaws the icicles, where Phoebus' fire refers to the heat of the sun, scarce thaws the icicles, scarce thaws is melts, the icicle refers to the ice. So where the heat of the sun is so moderate that it cannot even melt the ice. So bring someone who is born in the north, all right, and let us make incision for your love. Incision means cut, all right, so let us make a cut in our skin for your love. So he says, let us undergo a kind of test. Let a test be taken. Let a test be taken among us. That is, one who is coming from the north, and me, one who is dark complexion, and one who is fair skin, and test our bravery and test our courage. Let us sit for a test and see who is more brave and who is more courageous. And let us make incision for your love to prove whose blood is reddest, his or mine. So again, an old belief where it was said that the most courageous has the reddest blood. So one who is most courageous has the reddest blood. So he says, bring someone from the north, and I will also enter into a competition with that man, all right, with that suitor, and then let us see whose blood is reddest, because it was an old belief that whoever has the reddest blood was said to be more brave, most courageous, and more brave. So, to prove whose blood is reddest, his or mine, I tell thee, lady, this aspect of mine, aspect refers to appearance, hath feared the valiant. Hath feared means has even frightened. The valiant means the bravest of the brave. So he says, this complexion of mine has scared the bravest of the brave. So don't go by my complexion. By my love I swear, the best regarded virgins, best regarded refers to most respected, the best virgins refers to unmarried ladies of our clime is country, climate, country, okay, virgins of our clime have loved it too. So he says, in my country, this skin color is, loved by even the best virgins of my country. I would not change this hue. I would not change this hue. Hue refers to color. So he says, I am very happy with my color. I am not going to change this color of mine, except to steal your thoughts. So I'm never going to change my color, all right, except to steal your thoughts means unless it is to gain your attention. If by changing my color I will gain your attention, then I am willing to do that. Otherwise, for anything in the world, I am not going to change this color of mine. I am happy with this skin color, my gentle queen. At this, Portia says, in terms of choice, I am not solely led by nice direction of a maiden's eyes. So Portia says, don't worry, Morocco, because as far as choice is concerned, I do not depend on what my eyes shows me. Alright, just as in case of other ladies, they depend on what their eye shows them. If something is attractive, they love that thing. But in my case, this is not true, because in terms of choice, I am not solely led by the nice direction of a maiden's eye. So I don't go by looks. Besides, the lottery of my destiny bars me the right of voluntary choosing. Besides, my destiny, it bars me, it forbids me from making a voluntary choice. That means voluntary choosing means I have no say as far as marriage is concerned. I cannot choose someone whom I like, nor can I reject someone whom I dislike. So don't worry, I will not go by your complexion. But if my father had not scanted me means deprived me of free choosing. If my father had allowed me to make a free choice, if my father had not curtailed my choice, okay. But if my father had not scanted me and hedged me by his wit, hedged me means confined me by his wit, to yield myself his wife, who wins me by that means I told you. So he says that if my father had not decided as to how I should make a choice, if my will was not curbed, if my wish was not curbed by the wish of or the will of my dead father, okay. So she says, and hedged me by his wit, to yield myself his wife, who wins me by that means I told you. So he says that if I was not controlled by the will of my father, if I had I had my hand in choosing, then your self-renowned prince then stood as fair as any comer I have looked on yet for my affection. So she says that if my will was not curbed by the will of my dead father, all right, I could make a choice of my own. I could marry whoever I wanted, okay. Then you were an equal competitor you were like any other competitor. I would have considered you to be the best of who had come to choose me. You would have appeared as fair as any candidate for my affection. I would have taken you as an equal. I would have never, you are also one of the perfect suitor who has come to marry me. So she says here we come to know that Portia is trying to say that even if I was one, she says that I never go by looks, and other she says that if her will was not curtailed, or if her will was not curbed by the will of her dead father, then the Prince of Morocco would have been an equal competitor, okay. He would have been as fair as any candidate who had come to marry her. So we stop here. We are going to continue in the next class.